Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Back Talk Sports for Monday, February 7th. I'm Max, joined by Sam here in the studio. We've got a great show lined up for you tonight. We'll have the full recap of Super Bowl 45, plus another injury for the Celtics to deal with. Well, let's get things started. We'll take you right out to Dallas for the Super Bowl 45 highlights. So now we start off here, Packers-Steelers, Super Bowl 45. You got Big Ben, Aaron Rodgers, two great quarterbacks. Starting the first quarter, Rodgers looks deep and finds Jordy Nelson for the touchdown. Packers go on top, 7-0. The next play from scrimmage, Steelers ball, Ben Roethlisberger looking to answer. He'll throw to the left, and he'll be intercepted after being hit. Nick Collins with the interception. He'll shake and bake his way back in for a 33-yard touchdown. Back-to-back plays, 14 points. And it looks like the Packers have a stranglehold on this game early. Nick Collins celebrating, and to the next play. End of the first quarter, Big Ben on third down. He'll rush it up the left side. A big play, which led to a field goal, gave them a little bit of life, 14-3 at the end of the first. Now, second quarter, Big Ben once again looking for the answer, and he'll be intercepted again by the Green Bay defense. Jared Bush on this one. Now, Rodgers, later in the second, he'll look for his favorite receiver. He'll find him. Greg Jennings takes the hit from Polamalu, but holds on. You'll see here on the replay, Jennings just shreds the Pittsburgh defense, catches it, holds on through the hit, and that makes it 21-3. Now, end of the second quarter, Big Ben looking for some sort of life. He'll look for a big roll man, Antoine Randall down the left side. A big play for Pittsburgh, gives him some sort of life. He'll take it down. And now, Big Ben on the next play, looking for his favorite receiver, Hines Ward, throws it over, finds him in the back right of the end zone, gives them some life going into halftime, 21-10 Packers, and that ends the first half, jumping to the second half. You'll see here, Charles Woodson, along with many other Green Bay Packers, injured and out, can only hope their teammates can hold up. Now, in the third quarter, it was about inspired running for this Pittsburgh team. They had the momentum. You see Rashard Mendenhall there take it up. Just a couple plays later, they switch backs. Isaac Redman takes it down the left side, and they certainly seem to have all the momentum. Just the next play, Rashard Mendenhall will take the handoff, go right up the middle, score another touchdown. That's 14 unanswered points for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they are feeling it. Now, third quarter we jump to. Third down, Aaron Rodgers looking around, and he'll be hit by number 92, James Harrison. Makes his play for the game, and the Steelers are feeling it. Tomlin's pumped. Now, third quarter, third down. The Packers return the favor. They hit Ben Roethlisberger. He goes down for the sack, and this leads to a Sean Schweischum 52-yard attempt. No good. Far left. Not even close. And the Packers keep the 21-17 lead. Now to the fourth quarter. The first play, Rashard Mendenhall fumbles the ball. Picked up by Green Bay. Mendenhall does not fumble often, but if you look at the replay, Clay Matthews gives the blistering hit right to his stomach. Ball pops out. Great play by Matthews, and he is pumped. Now, fourth down. Third down, Rodgers with the 36-yard pass to Jordy Nelson. He takes it from the middle to the left, and he is going. He'll be taken down by Polamalu around the 4-yard line, and this will lead to an Aaron Rodgers touchdown, once again to his favorite man, Greg Jennings, right side of the end zone, and that makes it 28-17. Now, Big Ben looking to score very quickly. He finds Mike Wallace for the quick touchdown, and the Steelers are right back in it. They need to go for the two. Numbers work that way. And they'll fake the handoff, pitch it to Antoine Randall. He'll take it in 28-25, and the Steelers are back in this one. Now, third down, a huge play. Aaron Rodgers finds his man, Greg Jennings, in the middle, extends the drive. This leads to a Mason Crosby field goal. Now, last chance for Big Ben on fourth down. Ball will be knocked down, incomplete, and that'll just about do it. The Green Bay Packers will come out on top of Super Bowl 45. The trophy goes back to Green Bay, obviously named after their great longtime coach, Vince Lombardi. Aaron Rodgers will go on to win the MVP with 3 touchdowns in this game, over 300 yards, and just a great Super Bowl, and they are celebrating in Green Bay. So after that MVP performance from Rodgers, he had a lot to say today in his post-game interview. And while we get that up for you, we can start talking just about the Green Bay Packers. Absolute domination in the Super Bowl. They led from the start. They never really gave up. It seemed like they really had the lead the whole time.
Yeah, and that's what I was really impressed with, because teams like that, they're young, they get antsy, they almost overdo themselves in that first few quarters. But the Packers, they came out and they just played a steady flow that whole way through. I was really impressed.
It certainly was. And something about this, you got Big Ben, who's been here before. He's won Super Bowls, and a lot of people were saying that the experience would be the key in this. But however, he threw interceptions. He didn't have as many touchdowns, did not play as efficient a game from Rodgers. How impressed were you with Big Ben's struggles early on in the game and Rodgers' overall complete effort?
Literally what came out of Big Ben is what I expected from Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers what I expected from Roethlisberger. Rodgers looked like he had done this 100 times. He had a steady flow the whole game. Roethlisberger, I think he just let the nerves get to him, and he was obviously rushing a few plays and just trying a little too hard.
And so Rodgers, obviously playing in Green Bay, a city that prouds himself off of great quarterback play, obviously had Brett Favre for years. And Aaron Rodgers finally got his chance to step into the role, and just a couple years later wins the Super Bowl, wins the MVP of the Super Bowl, something that Brett Favre never did. Has he taken over the Brett Favre legacy? Is Green Bay officially known as an Aaron Rodgers football town, or are they still thinking about Brett Favre?
I think statistically it's going to take Rodgers a few more years in his career to get to Brett Favre. But right now I think Aaron Rodgers is definitely on his way to making that an Aaron Rodgers town because he really proved himself this year.
That's definitely true. He had quite the year, fought injury, fought everything against him, 6th seed in the playoffs, play all their games on the road, get to the Super Bowl, can win. It's certainly impressive. So when we look at some of the highs and lows of the Super Bowl, obviously some big interceptions, big fumble recoveries for the Pittsburgh Steelers, for the Green Bay Packers, which certainly made the difference in this. What do you think was the key play, if there was one play in the Super Bowl that really won the game for the Packers?
I really think it'd have to be that first interception that Roethlisberger threw because that definitely showed that the Packers, Clay Matthews didn't have his sharpest game yesterday, and look what they did when he wasn't even that sharp. So I think that showed that they still had defense, and I think that got in Roethlisberger's mind. And so from there on out, their defense just dominated the passing game.
And something that a lot of people might not remember, there was actually injuries on both sides of the ball, for Green Bay at least. Offensively, Donald Driver, great receiver for years for Green Bay. He was out early with an injury. Then Charles Woodson, the heart of their defense, was out with an injury. And somehow they were able to fight all the odds and still come out on top. So now I think we got that Aaron Rodgers post-game conference.
You know what, I'm always looking for challenges. I think the challenge now goes to repeating, scrutinizing this season, finding ways to get better. Obviously, there's being a perfectionist and having a quarterback coach who is as well. There's going to be plenty of time to work on things and plenty of things to work on. So I'm excited about enjoying this, but also looking forward to improving. I was competitive last night. I need to play well for our team, and Mike and his staff had a great game plan. We rolled through some calls, and I made enough plays to get the job done last night. As far as where I compare to other quarterbacks in the league, that's for you guys to determine and talk about. As a kid, I always wanted to obviously win a Super Bowl, and now I got one. It's kind of like, now what? I think let's go get another one.
So it was very impressive for Rodgers to have as efficient a day as he did against one of the toughest defenses in the league, the Pittsburgh Steelers. These were two of the best, if not the two best, defenses with the Steelers and the Packers. And a lot of people thought that it would be a very low-scoring game, a 17-14. Even I heard people saying 14-10, and that one defensive play would make the difference, which, as according to you, you said it did. The Nick Collins interception for the touchdown was a huge play. But every defensive player sort of got their little role in. Clay Matthews with the fumble, the forced fumble, and you had James Harrison on the other side with the big sack. But a guy, Troy Polamalu, he had a couple hits, he saved a couple long plays, but he really never got asserted. Is that credited to the Green Bay Packers offense, or was that poor game plan by the Pittsburgh Steelers defense?
I think it was obviously the Steelers definitely didn't have the best defense last night, but I think it was definitely the Packers are just so young. Their offense is amazing, and the Steelers are an older team. Their defense is older, and last night I think young beat old, and the Packers offense is very young.
And you're saying young, and young is certainly a theme when you think about the Green Bay Packers. And something about young means they're going to be together and they're going to be playing for a long time, it seems like. And a team that's winning obviously wants to stay together. Would you say that this team, the Green Bay Packers, people should watch out? They could be a dynasty. They could be the next Patriots, or go back as far as the Cowboys or the Steelers. Could this be a dynasty with this young team?
I think we might have to wait a few more years for the word dynasty, but I think come the future, I think they will be a consistent playoff team.
They will, and that's certainly that they play in the NFC. There's a lot of great teams in the NFC. They always have to fight the Chicago Bears to get into the playoffs, or if they want to sneak in the wild card, but you always got the NFC East and other teams. The Saints and the Bucks even are fighting now. There's a lot of teams in that NFC and only so many playoff spots. But I agree with you. I think it's going to take a couple more years before we can call them a dynasty, such as the Patriots of a couple of years ago or any of those teams. But I think that with this young team and the center of this team, the nucleus is all young players. Aaron Rodgers, young player. Greg Jennings, not too old. And they still have their experience. They still have Donald Driver. They still have veteran players on their defense. But when you put it all together, there's a young team, a very fast team, very efficient team, and they're really hard to stop. We look at the team who was favored at the beginning of this playoffs, our own hometown New England Patriots, obviously. We'd rather be celebrating a win right now than talking about the Packers, but they won. Their quarterback, Tom Brady, won MVP unanimously, 50 out of 50 votes, first player ever to do that. Their coach, Bill Belichick, won Coach of the Year, and it seemed like they had everything going. What was really the problem? What does New England need to work on next year to try and end this first game in the playoff slouch that they've fallen into?
Well, this loss that came to the Jets, I literally think that the Patriots were kind of listening to the media and the spread and the trash talking. And the Jets, they backed up their trash talking. And, you know, Tom Brady looked like he had never done this before out there. So I think they just got to realize that it's the playoffs, and they got to realize when they have to buckle down. And I don't think they've realized that the past few years.
And you're saying Tom Brady was certainly not himself. And it almost reminded me, I'm a big Patriots fan. I watch all the games. He usually does everything by himself. It really reminded me of their Super Bowl appearance against the Giants a few years ago, where the Giants got to him. There was no offensive line whatsoever for the Patriots. And something about Brady, he's not the biggest quarterback. He's not a Ben Roethlisberger. He's not a Michael Vick who can run out of the pocket. When players get to him and he starts getting hit and he starts getting sacked, it's really hard for him to get into his offensive flow. And that's what I saw out of the Jets. They were applying pressure. Rex Ryan is the blitzing master. And it seemed like once they got to him and the offensive line was not holding up, Brady was in no offensive flow. The secondary, obviously, for the Jets, one of the best, if not the best, in the NFL. And it just seemed like, I'm going to say it, the Jets were the better team this year in head-to-head matches because of that defense. So that brings us next year. Obviously, Jets and the Patriots both staying in the AFC East. Who do you think is going to come out on top next year?
Well, after, 2 or 3 weeks ago after that game, I definitely think it's going to be the Jets. But, right now they look pretty evenly matched. So I think it's going to be a down-to-the-wire finish.
And it's almost uncomfortable as a Patriots fan, and obviously for the players on the team, to think that they need to worry about their division now. The past couple of years, during all their great years, they cruised through their division. No one really threatened them. And then they got to Indianapolis or to Pittsburgh, and they were tough teams. But now they got to worry about the Jets. They played them twice in the regular season. They seem to be seeing them in the playoffs. They could see them next year. Both teams looking like they're going to be strong teams. They really need to find a way to beat this team. Since Rex Ryan's taken over, Tom Brady has not been the same. His numbers are way down against Rex Ryan's teams, all the way back from when he was the defensive coordinator in Baltimore. And personally, I think that the Patriots have a lot of work to do to get back to the standard that many Patriots fans expect them to get to. And so, other things about the Super Bowl, obviously not sports related, but national anthem, halftime show, commercials, all the things that make this the day it is. I thought it was pretty subpar. We had the botched national anthem by Christina Aguilera. It's your country. You got to know the words.
Right.
You agree with that one?
Yeah, definitely.
It's just, how do you let that happen? You're performing on the biggest stage, most watched event of the year, television-wise. You got people there. Everyone's watching. You're a superstar. You're a Grammy winner. You're supposed to be able to do this, and you screw up the national anthem. It's not God Bless America. It's not a song you hear once in a while. It's a national anthem. It leads off every sporting event, every national event, and to mess that up is just pretty embarrassing, in my opinion. Then we look at during the commercials. I thought they were pretty low, too.
Yeah, they were not the best I've ever seen.
I mean, the E-Trade Baby obviously saved the day because just a classic. Whenever he's on, it gets everyone's attention. The whole room goes quiet. Everyone stops eating and drinking. But the whole day, it just seemed pretty uneventful. It was obviously a great day on the field, but I don't know, it just didn't seem like the whole Super Bowl flow that we're used to seeing. And so, in a nutshell, that's the Super Bowl. That's our highlight on that. Now we're going to jump to the NBA, and one has to wonder if injuries will be the death of the Celtics this season. You can add Marquise Daniels to that injury list, and this one was a scary one. You'll see here, Daniels taking in on Arenas and just falls to the ground.